If you've ever wanted to make a motion comic, this is how you do it. Before we get going, here is a quick little one for me to show you what we'll be making today. 1 bottle, please. I mean, this is only gonna get you about this much. Is that really all that you're gonna need? Yeah, this will do perfectly. Alright, boy. Let's get home quickly. We got places to be and we're running out of time. Now that you've seen it, if you want to follow along using the same image that I did, you can get a link to that in the description down below. So the first thing we're going to do is grab our picture, whichever we're going to use for our motion comic, and pull it into the media pool over here. I'm on the edit tab. We pull edit. One of the most important things that people don't do before they make a comic page is they don't plan it out. Even though you see this fully drawn out page here, it's good to start with something like this, where you've essentially just broken it down with super simple images. You figure out what you're going to do. I underline a keyword here, slides, because I want to make sure I'm capturing that. Old man asks him a question. Is what you got in that bottle really all you're going to need? This guy responds with, yeah, this should do it, or something along those lines. It's exactly what I needed, as he rides off. Now, planning this lets me figure out what sound effects I'm going to need, lets me think through what music I'm going to need, lets me think through the transitions before I get to the point where I'm actually drawing the page. The last thing you want to do is draw the page and then realize that you didn't make a good page for actually turning into a motion comic. That would become really unpleasant really quick. Once you've got it planned out and you've thought through the transitions, draw it out. Coming into the editor, I'm dropping this on my timeline. Just like that. We're actually going to end up using this multiple times. So first, we think through what is needed. The best way to do that is to take your little script that you came up with and record your voice lines. If you're on Windows, you can click Start and type in Voice, and there's a nice little sound recorder that's just built in. You can click that and you can record your sound that way. So you can see here, I created the sound file. And to create that coin scraping, I actually have a cover here from my camera lens. I just put it on the desk, kind of slid it back and forth like that, and that creates the sound of the coin scraping, so I don't even need to go find a sound effect for that. Okay, so since I'm in Windows, I can right click on this, show in Finder. It will take me straight to that sound file, recording 10. I like to rename it. We'll say Western Scene. Since that's what it is, I'm going to drag that also into my editor. Now, I know I'm going to need more sounds. Now, this is where things get a little tricky, because sounds are often copyrighted. So, if you type in public domain music and public domain sound effects, you'll get some options. For example, there's a public domain music library, there's this Envato, Public Domain Information Project. There are different resources available. However, under the public domain sound effects, you'll see there's this Library of Congress one with sounds here, thousands of public domain sounds that you can dig through and find something you want. There's music collection, blues. Hopefully you can find whatever you need here. I use Pixabay all the time. They have both music and sound effects. For example, we could probably do like coin scrape, and there's something we could use here as well. See? I like to create my sounds whenever I can, simply to avoid any potential copyright claims. A couple examples here on Reddit. This is a concern someone has even after getting permission. You can, to get music, will they still get claim? Potentially, but you can file a counterclaim. But I've seen this multiple times on this subreddit. It doesn't really mean anything to have a written approval. If the creator changes their mind, they can still copyright claim you. And here's another example. YouTube copyright claims keeps flagging public domain music from old films. These are things that are, like I said, in the public domain, but they're still getting flagged because someone else used it commercially. YouTube doesn't care. They just know someone used it recently for a commercial purpose, and they're not checking to see if it's public domain. So be thoughtful when you're grabbing stuff. You're going to actually see an increase in people using AI music simply because they're trying to avoid copyright claims. I don't like to use AI music. I like to support individuals on Pixabay or other sites like this, a lot of them are fine. Like, I've personally never had an issue, but it is a potential issue. But for example, I can come here and type in Western music. Found this one called Casual Western. It's by Brokai Free Sound. These still have licenses with them, and you want to check that license. You can click here, content license, and see exactly which it is. Use content for free. Use content without having to attribute the original author. This is an important one because some of them will require. They're free to use. They're free to use, but you still have to attribute the actual creator. So make sure you read that license, or at least confirm which one it is. I typically go for the ones without having to attribute the author, simply because these are the individuals who are less likely to copyright strike you. So if you are going to use one of those, double check that license, and then just make sure to credit them if that's what they're asking for. We do want to make sure that we have the appropriate sound effects for our video. This is just wind, so we're going to grab that. We're going to download this. You may have to do some digging to find the music and sounds that you want, but that's not a bad thing. Hopefully it just means you'll have a better video. You may have to change your search a few times as well. And note, when you're downloading these, you can check the exact license being used right here as well on the thanks for downloading screen. Alright, so we've got some sounds. If you're using Chrome, you can click this little download and just drag them directly over like this. Or go to the folder wherever you download them to. This little show and folder will take you exactly where you need to be. And then you'll be able to drag them over. Okay, so now that we have our sounds, we start going through our script and putting it together. One thing that is important to remember before you get any further: File, Project Settings. Now, you might be working on a vertical setting or not. If you're making shorts for YouTube, you're going to want to toggle this vertical setting on, and you should have 1080 by 1920. Otherwise, you want it on 1920 by 1080, which is going to be the more wide. So I'm doing a short for mobile, so I want the vertical resolution on. If you've made it this far into the video, you probably enjoy this kind of content. Please consider subscribing. It really helps the channel, and I'll be continuing to put out my own motion comics as well as tutorials like this. You can see here it shrunk that down. While we can still see the whole page, we're starting to get where we want. Okay, next I'm going to pull out my Western scene recording. There's a lot here, and I don't need it all right now, so I'm going to search for exactly what I want. So a thing that I like to do, just to make this easier on me, is I will actually come up. I will click Davinci Resolve in the top corner and Keyboard Customization. Now this will list all your keyboard shortcuts for everything that you're trying to do. If you search for split, right here, split clips, I like to set this to Control Space. It means I click here, I hold Control, hit Space, and it'll assign that, and I hit Save. And then I close this. And anytime I hit Control Space, it's going to cut that for me. Otherwise, you click this little slicer here, and you can just click on it like that, and it'll chop it up really quick. I just hate having to change tools, and so I just make myself a shortcut so I can just do that. All right, let's just pull this down here. We're gonna, drag these over because this is our dialogue. So right here where I can find it. Now I do need that coin scrape sound. So we'll mute that track and lock it so we don't accidentally trim it. And let's find the coin scrape that we want to use. If you hit delete, it's going to kick whatever you've got all the way to the front, and that's not always helpful. In this case it is, but if you don't want it to do that, you can hit backspace and it'll delete everything exactly where it is. But then it's up to you to actually drag it over. So the thing to remember, and this is why it's really important to know that difference, if you don't lock this and then try to do it, you'll hit delete and it's going to move. You see it moved both of those. Or if I delete this one, it moved both of those. And so it's really important to lock if you're going to be using delete. Otherwise, just manually move it by dragging it. Alright, so we've got our coin sound effect. Unlock and unmute this. What I need to do now is shrink this image down to the size of the sound clip. Now if you move the editor marker to the start of your clip, then select the clip, you will see over here on the side, under your inspector, there's a video tab with transformation details. There's also these little diamonds. These diamonds lock your current settings. So before we lock anything, we want to zoom in on that coin. I'm going to drag this and click on the numbers and move the mouse back and forward and just drag it, and it'll automatically move those for you. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in, move this down, zoom in, move it down, zoom in, move it down. Alright. Because these are not actually animated images, they're motion comics, we got to be thoughtful with our transitions. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to lock my zoom and my position. There's also a rotation angle if you need to change that. Now, if I move the marker to the end, or close to the end, I can change the setting at the end. When you set it at the end of the clip, it will automatically and you probably want to go ahead and lock these too when you get them where you want them. It will automatically transition between what you have at the beginning and what you have at the end. You don't need to animate everything in the middle. After I worked on the initial script, I had the thought to have him ask, "One bottle, please." And so I now need to select something to show with that. I had the thought, and I'm going to match it to the size of this as well. So I had the thought, let's go from the exact same positioning as the last one and maybe zoom out or zoom in or something like that. So we're going to lock where we're at. We're going to go to the end and select our transition. Just something that'll draw a little interest. One bottle, please. I think that'll work. Okay, now we got to go find our next clip, or voice clip. Sometimes, just for the sake of not having a super long video, you're going to want to trim out the spaces in the middle to shorten the dialogue.
I mean, this is only going to get you about this much.
And I think that will work. We pull this over here. We're going to need another copy of the image. This time, and if you're seeing a black screen after dropping it in, it just means you need to move the marker over the image. We're going to go to the beginning. Now it's this guy talking, so we're going to zoom in on him. Maybe we'll start also at his hand, focusing on that coin and kind of moving out from there. Okay, so I'm going to put it in the center. Our eyes tend to go to the center, looking for information. Okay, let's lock that. Let's make sure I got enough. I'm going to select the end of the video, where I'm at now. And if you are like getting a black screen, you can go back just a smidgen like that, just a little bit, and it'll still work. Go ahead and zoom out, move it over, zoom out, move this down so we can kind of see who he is and what he's doing and where he's from and all that. We can see he's got some bottles behind him. He's doing something, maybe like this. Even though we don't know the other guy's holding it yet, let's go and pull over so we see that bottle. Now, one thing I'd like to note is you don't want to transition from the same way every single time. So this one, we're coming from this side. Oops, sorry, we're coming from this side, going this way. Then we zoom out. This one, we're coming from this side, going this way. So we want a different transition for this one, otherwise it's going to be stale. We're going to go top to bottom. So let's set our markers, and I think I'm even going to rotate this bottle so that it looks straight at the moment like this. Lock that. These little circles right here are resets. We hear about this much. We've got a problem because we've already got at the end of this a transition. So we'll click that little reset one up top. That'll reset everything. But now we've got to come back to the front and zoom back in on that bottle. Let's rotate that again. Maybe zoom out just a bit, reposition. And then at the end of, we gotta lock it. At the end, we're gonna rotate this back to normal and position it downwards so that we can see that whole bottle. Looks like we lost our rotation in there somewhere. So let's put that back in at the beginning. Lock that.
About this much. Is that really?
We need to come to the end where we got that. And maybe we gotta drag that back ourselves. Now we find our next voice clip.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for.
I'm gonna take this one right here. Trash that. Now I just realized I don't have another image zoomed in on the Cowboy, so in this case I'm going to come into my own library of images, and I've got a bunch of drawings, so I'm going to find one, something that'll take care of that need. I've got this banner here that I once made for my brother and his YouTube channel. I think that'll work okay right here. So we pull that in, we pull that down, we'll shrink it. Let's come over here, grab the settings, go like this. Maybe zoom out just a little bit, focus. We're gonna pull this up. So let's lock these. Come to the end, pull that Y position up to center about right there.
Yeah, this is perfect.
So you see, I didn't think through this as good as I could have, but we made it work. Now let's come find for that last scene.
Yeah, this is exactly what I was looking for. All right, boy, let's get home quickly. We got places to be and we're running out of time.
All right, let's delete that, delete those, delete that, and haul this over this way. We need to drag our image down again, and then we need to zoom in on our focus, which is that horse guy, Mr. Cowboy. Now, there's different ways that we can handle this. Thankfully, we did a down-up transition on this one, so we can do whatever we need to transition-wise on this one. So I think I'm just going to go kind of start with him off on the side over here, and then lock those, and then you'll see it turns red when I start moving it. It recognizes a transformation occurred. I'm going to move him to center, right about there. Maybe zoom in just a little bit as well. So that's what that transition is going to look like. So we've got the whole thing edited, and at this point you'll want to watch through it just to make sure it came out the way you want.
One bottle, please. This is only going to get you about this much. Is that really all that you're going to need? Yeah, this will do perfectly. All right, boy, let's get home quickly. We got places to be and we're running out of time.
So now that we've got the overall short in place, we need our wind sound effect for the western scene. We'll chop this off right about here. Get rid of all that excess. To turn up volume, there's a couple different ways. The first is just dragging. You'll see this little kind of double arrow appears when you're on the sound marker. You can grab that and drag that up and down, and it'll increase the volume. You can hear that wind better when I do that. The second way is you come over here into the you come over here into the Fairlight tab. You find your audio track. In this case, the wind is on audio 2, and the speaking is on audio 1. Over here on the sidebar, you'll see audio 1, 2, 3. These all match up over here. So I'm just going to drag audio 1 up a little bit so that I can hear it better when he's talking.
All right, boy, let's get home quickly.
Now I like to add a little bit of music to mine, so I found that sad tune. I think we can probably chop off just the front tip of that, drag it here, chop off the end, get rid of it. It's too loud. Turn it down.
One bottle, please.
You might get a little bit of crackling from the music when your sound is trying to figure itself out.
This is only going to get you about this much. Is that really all that you're going to need?
It's still a little loud, so I'll turn that volume down a little more and check it.
This will do perfectly.
Last thing we need is horse running sounds. We know that this is where our horse running is, so let's just cut off that, get rid of that. Now we got some options. I'm gonna lock this one. No, I'm gonna lock this, and let's see. I don't want to mute it, I want to lock it.
Alright, boy. Let's get home quick.
So we find it, it says, oh, okay, boy.
Alright, boy.
Right here. I'm going to chop that and pull it out, but now we can get that neigh sound.
Boy.
That's a long neigh sound. Okay, at least it feels long. But we'll line that up there. Alright, so let's pull this out of the way for a second and pull in an extra one. You can actually drag it up here and it'll create on a new spot. Match it up to this. We're going to zoom in on the horse for a moment. Whee! Here, horsey, horsey, horsey. I'm going to actually transition the horse from about top to bottom. So come down here. Oops. That right there is why I like to do a little bit down. Okay. Now, let's pull these back in place. About like that. And you can extend a sound back out even if you've chopped it just by dragging it. Alright.
Boy. Let's get home quickly. We got places to be and we're running out of time.
There. And I think that will do it for that. So I'm just going to crank up that voice again a little bit more because I don't quite like it. The last thing that I like to do, and this is optional, I like subtitles. You have a couple options to do subtitles. First, come over here into Effects. And you can click Titles, Subtitles, there's different things. You can grab one of these and just pull it out here. Oops, come on you. There we go. You click this, you type what you want, bleh in this case. And when you're over this, it will appear. You can change the size of it and it'll last for that duration. And this way you can go through and type out your entire subtitle. Another option, however, is if you're on the studio version of DaVinci Resolve, you can generate these automatically as well by coming to the Timeline tab, AI Tools, Create Subtitles from Audio. And this will actually go through. You click whatever your language is. Mine's English. You can change the kind of defaults for that. I'll just leave it as is. I like to have double line subtitles, and you hit Create. And it's going to analyze what you've got and then create subtitles. Once they're done, check them for accuracy. So it's trying to copy the sound effects as well, so watch out for that. Also, you'll see that I can't really see behind this, so select all of these, click Track up here. I like to scroll down and turn this background on, and this kind of grayish one usually works fine for me. I would like one of the horse neighing. I'll just click this one, hit copy, put my marker here, and hit paste. This doesn't need to be super long. Nay. Alright, those look pretty good. Okay, so when you go to export this or save this video and finalize it, you click the Deliver tab. You'll want to click, give it a name, and then click Browse and determine where you actually want to save it. Now, this is important. Under Subtitles down here, you need to turn on Export Subtitles. You have the option of saving it as a separate file or burning it into the video. Burning it into the video means people can't turn it on and off. It's just going to be a permanent part of that video. That's what I usually like to do because mine are usually YouTube shorts. And people aren't always going to have their audio on when they're watching YouTube shorts. So that way they can still follow along with the story. Click this Add to Render Queue button. And then over here on the side, click Render. It'll go through. It'll export the video. If you click Open in File Location, it'll open up the location where you saved it to. There might be more things here depending on where you saved it. And just double click it.
One bottle, please. I mean, this is only going to get...
And watch it to make sure it turns out the way you want. And that's all that goes into making a motion comic. If you'd like to learn more about things like this, please subscribe. I'll be making more tutorials like this, including drawing tutorials.